I've been getting some questions about my sculpting process, specifically the tools that I use and how I go about it. And I thought this work in progress time lapse would serve nicely to illustrate some of my less than usual tool techniques. So I've started with a secure base and a wooden dowel for the armature, and I'm just building up the basic shapes with some sulphur-free clay so that I can mold and cast this later. Adding on a section for the jaw and working up the basic proportions. Laying in the eye sockets, figuring out where the nose, the mouth, and the cheekbones are going to land. I'm using an old sculpt tool here that I've had for years and I love, with a rounded blade on one end and a curved spoon on the other. It's really versatile. It's amazing what I'm able to do with it. You can use almost anything to sculpt with, so by no means take my tools as any kind of standard. Just use your imagination. Right now I'm refining the sides of the cheek here and the jaw, just kind of supporting the clay lightly with my other hand while I'm digging out some of these deeper sections, and then using that back of the spoon to just kind of smooth out some of the rougher areas. Now we're going to work in some of the definitions on the side of the skull above that wrapping cheekbone. Now that we've got the bottom laid in, and moving the sculpt around and just, checking the proportions as we go. Now I'm going to add a little bit of material here to the chin area. It's looking a little narrow. Just going to tap that down, shape it up. Everything is kind of rough right now, and that's okay. You don't have to jump into detailing a section and realize that your basic proportions are wrong. You're going to be really sad. So now that we've got some of the basic shapes, we are going to refine them using the back of the spoon to get some of that gum line in there. Slowly working the edge of that spoon, some of the definition of the teeth in, and some of those little areas up above that upper teeth gum line. Now the eyes are a bit rough, so I'm going to get a drill and a bit, and I just use a regular wood bit to remove some of that material. Again, this is just how I do it. No right or wrong here. And then I go back in with the back of the spoon to open up, refine those socket edges, again, supporting the clay wall with your thumb. Now here I realized I had a lobotomy thing going on, so I'm starting to pinch up that top, and I'm going to score the top, prepping it to add another large section. I want to be careful not to ruin anything below, so I'm going to pre-shape that piece in my palm. Then I'm going to use the saw blade to support it as we lay it in and just kind of pinch around those edges. Get rid of that seam line real nice. Again, it's a little rough, but we've got a much better shape now. So I'm coming in with a toothpick now to clean up those teeth, get a little more definition in there. And once I'm happy with that, I'm going to lay in the infraorbital foramen. That's for you, Tracy Lynn Walker. And now here's another weird one. I like to finish with a little bit of wood glue on a hammerhead, and you just tap that in around, slow and gentle, define, smooth down some of those rough edges, define some of the harder shapes before the final buffing out. And I like to use a rusty vintage C-wrench for any of the remaining flaws up there. And you're just gonna kind of rub that in, just buff that out, give it a couple of blows, and there you have it. A little unorthodox, but that's how I roll. Hope you enjoyed.